hear ye! The Honorable Alexandra Occasional-Cortex, the Honorable Andrew Cuomo, the Exalted Dr. Fauci, all of you are hereby nominated as Time Person of the Year. What an honor. What a joke. Oh, and Fareed Zakaria outlines Trump's path to victory. Let's get into it. Also, people have been nominated the Time Person of the Year, including World War II darlings Joseph Stalin and Adolf Hitler. Last year, the award went to the How Dare You girl, Greta Thunberg.
How dare you!
But the title of the New York Post and consequently of this video are sort of clickbait. Sort of. You see, a lot of people are nominated to become Time Person of the Year. We even got China James nominated. Patrick Mahomes was nominated. Meghan Markle was nominated. This doesn't mean anything. You gotta get the likes, the votes. Andrew Cuomo, for example, didn't get much love. And rightfully so. The man is personally responsible for over 6,500 deaths in nursing homes. AOC, while she did beat Cuomo, she ain't got much love either. And rightfully so, because she's, cuckoo. But that brings us to the exalted Dr. Fauci. He's probably gonna end up winning the award. But does he deserve it? I don't think so. I don't think anyone in the medical establishment deserves this award. I don't think anyone in the government deserves this award. And I don't think anyone in the media deserves this award. I think Dr. Fauci and Cuomo and AOC and CNN and Fox News, they have all done their part in this pandemic to discredit the institutions that we look to for information. The media, we can't trust them. The government, we can't trust them. Our doctors, we can't trust them. Everything's been politicized. Everything. Oh, you want to go to Thanksgiving? You're killing grandma. I want to read you a Twitter thread that gets to the point of what I'm trying to say. I'm not going to read you the whole thing, but I'm going to read you the parts that I think are the best. Let's start with part 4. I'm angry because prominent members of the medical community have undermined establishment medical science and destroyed its credibility by playing favorites, selective rule enforcement, granting exemptions for ideological reasons, and otherwise engaging in rank hypocrisy. They flood the zone with urgent warnings and media panic when small businesses open at 30% capacity or when churches or synagogues meet, and they demand these people stay home and shame them for leaving the houses unsuccessfully. Then, they cheer BLM rallies that look like this. Look at that. Holy crap. What hypocrites. Unbelievable. The same medical experts now warn small businesses, churches, and synagogues while shaming those who might attend the service have spent months telling us mass protests of thousands of people must continue. We got NPR saying dozens of public health and disease experts have signed an open letter in support of the nationwide anti-racism protest. Public health experts say the pandemic is exactly why protests must continue. Now that makes absolutely negative sense. Negative, not zero. Negative. Let's keep going. We need to help experts in order to make good decisions and set good policy. But we need experts to be honest within the area of expertise and not to use their position of authority to make policy that shows favoritism to whoever agrees with those experts' politics. When experts use technical knowledge as an excuse to make policies which force the political and moral values on the rest of us, it erodes the trust, ding 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 ding, people have in both experts and the medical and scientific institutions that teach, train, and give experts their legitimacy. This guy's right. This means the medical establishment and their media enablers have mortgaged the credibility, legitimacy, and trust of scientific and medical establishment in order to pay for the temporary high of political power and social activism. And we're all paying for it. And yes, we are. The social capital scientists and universities, experts, and the media rely on to do their job is trust. They lose a little bit of that capital every time those of us who rely on them to run our lives find out that, hey, we've been lied to. You got that, Dr. Fauci? So now, when I say that masks work, that social distancing is effective, that we need to stop the spread, people just look me right in the eye and say, if experts really believe what they wouldn't have promoted massive protests and rallies. And he's right. And they're right. When I say not to travel or to avoid to eat in a restaurant because of their government policy, that people just say, if politicians really believe their own policies, they would follow it. But they don't follow it because they don't really believe it. And they showed me this. D.C. mayor faced criticism after traveling to Delaware. California Newsom, House Democrats and GOP leaders, everyone all the politicians, Democrats and Republicans. It now looks like institutions we used to rely on to give us accurate information to make decisions about the policies we want and how to manage our lives are not telling us the whole truth, because if we had the whole truth, we might not pick their preferred policies. People believe, and I understand why, that the institutions we rely on for accurate information are selling them a narrative cobbled from half-truths in order to justify decisions and rules that benefit the politics of the woke media blue checkmark industrial complex. And that's 100% right. Thank you, vocal distance. But enough about the lockdowns. Let's talk Trump and the election. An old clip of CNN's Fareed Zakaria has emerged of him outlining what it seems like Trump is actually doing right now to stay in power. Take a listen.
That are legal and constitutional that could enable Trump to stay in office without actually winning the vote. The system of electing the president is complicated because it was not designed to be directly democratic. The Constitution calls for states to choose the presidential electors, who in turn gather to vote for the president. Over time, states have passed laws that ensured their state's popular vote for the presidency would determine the electors. But those are laws, not a constitutional obligation. Now, imagine the scenario during election week. Trump is leading on November 3rd, but Joe Biden pulls ahead in the days following. Republicans file objections to tens of thousands of mail-in ballots. Democrats file countersuits. Taking account of the confusion, legislators decide to choose the electors themselves. Here's the worry. Of the 9 swing states, 8 have Republican legislatures. If one or more decide that balloting is chaotic and marred by irregularities, they could send what they regard as the legitimate slate of electors, which would be Republican. Democrats may object and file lawsuits. In some of those states, Democratic governors or secretaries of state could send their own slates of electors to Washington. That would add to the confusion, but that might well be part of the Republican plan. Because you see, when Congress convenes on January 6th to tally the electors' votes, there would be challenges to the legitimacy of some electors. It's possible congressional Republicans could decide that disputed states should simply not be counted. Suppose in this scenario, Michigan's votes are invalidated. That would ensure that neither candidate would get to 270 electoral votes. At that point, the Constitution clearly directs that the House of Representatives vote to determine the presidential election. But it does so with each state casting a single ballot. If the current numbers hold, there would be 26 state delegations that are Republican and 23 Democratic, with one tied. So the outcome would be to re-elect Donald Trump. Trump doesn't need to do anything other than to simply accept this outcome, which is constitutional.
It seems to me like that's exactly what Trump is trying to do. Is it going to work? I don't know. Is it the right thing to do? I don't know. Is it legal? Yes. Comment your opinions down below. If I had to choose a person for Time Person of the Year, I think I would go with Jeffrey Epstein. Sure, he was the scum of the earth, but his downfall may just bring out the rest of the scum of the earth that seems that they run our world. So, I vote for Jeffrey Epstein. Who would you vote for? Comment down below. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe. See you next time.